All right. Well, it is 2 o'clock, so I think we'll go ahead and at least get started. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay, and if anything goes wrong, somebody will tell me along the way. This is our Tech Tips Live webinar, which we do nearly every month. Wanted to welcome everybody. I'll have introductions here in a second. We do want to let everybody know that we're going to answer as many questions as we can during the program. If for some reason we run out of time and there are still unanswered questions, we'll follow up after. As we just mentioned, we have started a recording, so the recording of the session will be available next week. And as always, we welcome feedback and suggestions. We'll have an email at the end of the presentation where you can send your thoughts on those things. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Many of you may know me. My name is Jenny Lee Harris-Vidrich. I am a technical project manager here at Hertzler Systems. Been with the company for 5 years or so now, and have met most of the folks I think who are on the call now. Today, our technical resource, who's going to be doing most of the hard work today, is Jacob Shetler. Jacob is our cloud product manager, one of our lead developers here at Hertzler Systems, and he is going to be covering information on our GainSeeker inspection side panel. So many of you are probably familiar with that feature, and those of you who aren't, I think you're going to be really interested in its capabilities and especially some of the new things that we've added recently. So first we'll go over that inspection, the side panel, do an overview of it. Then we'll look at new features from GainSeeker 9.5, which came out recently. Some of those will be about the side panel, but then we'll highlight a few other features as well. And then Q&A. If you have questions throughout the program, we encourage you to put them in the chat so that we can start answering those questions and addressing them right away. So with that, I'll turn that over to Jacob.
All right, thanks, Jenny Lee. So as Jenny Lee said, I'm Jacob Shetler, the Cloud Product Manager at Hertzler Systems. And I want to be talking today about different ways that you can use the side panel during data entry in PC Collect. So I'm going to go over 4 features today: how to use the data canvas, how you can see multiple charts at the same time, and then 2 maybe more advanced examples, how you can display forms on the side panel, and then how you can link to how-to videos. So this session is going to be pretty much entirely demos. So let's go ahead and get started. Share my screen here. So you can see here that I've got an inspection created. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the data canvas. So this is a feature in inspections that allows users to see measurements that they take overlaid on an image of the part that they're measuring. This allows them to quickly understand which measurement is generating real-time alarms and then immediately take appropriate steps to correct the issue. The data canvas can also serve as a visual indicator of how to measure a part for users that don't have a lot of experience doing the measurements. We know that a lot of our customers have really high turnover, and using the data canvas is one of the ways that you can onboard your users. So let's say that you needed to make a sub-inspection where operators were measuring different characteristics of a single part, like a headlight. So let's see what that would look like. So if I run this right now, you can see here that I need to measure 6 different characteristics of this headlight: in the top, the left, the right, and the bottom left and right. And if you just gave this sub-inspection to somebody, it's not very clear what exactly they're measuring and where those measurements belong on the physical part. So an easier way to do this is to use the data canvas. So I'm going to close this. And then over here on the sub-inspection properties, I can choose data canvas. And you can see here that I've got all of my tests that have already been added to the sub-inspection. So I'm going to go ahead and choose an image, and I've got one set up for this headlight that we're measuring. And you can see that there's some arrows running off of this image as to where the measurements need to happen. So I'm going to click around on these different tests over here, the top left, left middle, top right middle, top right, bottom left, bottom right. The other thing that I can do with the data canvas is click on it and then add custom text to it. So maybe I have some really simple instructions for somebody, like measure, if I spell it right, measure the gap width of the 6 areas around the headlight. And then 2, you can run the light test by plugging in the lamp or the light to the test fixture. So we'll do both of those. It's really easy. Once I have something on here, I can just drag it around. I don't have to just leave it where I clicked. And then the pass fail, which I had set up, I can just sit next to here. So I'll go ahead and save this. And we'll publish this and then run it again. We'll see what it looks like. So now you can see that I've got the image over on the right-hand side. And while I have a test selected and I'm typing values into it, it's highlighted on the left, on the right too. So let's say that instead of starting in the top left, this operator decided to start in the bottom right. It's really easy. You can just click on the bottom right, type in your value, and then click on your next one. It uses the real-time failure colors that come from the numeric input. And so let's say that I had a spec failure. That one turns red, alerting the operator that something is wrong. You can use other tests too on the data canvas besides numeric inputs. For example, you can use the pass and fail test, and you can see that it updates over on the right side. So then I can go ahead and fill out the sub-inspection. And then we'll finish with this one. If you want to see an even more in-depth video on the data canvas, we did an entire Tech Tips live on it, maybe about a year or more ago. And we can post that in the chat of this meeting. So this is one of the ways that you can improve the usability of the side panel.
So Jacob, one of the questions that we had asked of us was, can you have more than one image on that right side panel for a data canvas?
No, you can't right now. What you can do is make an image that combines both of them and then select it. But we don't have the ability to just do one image at this, or to do multiple images at this point.
Okay, and you could also set up a separate sub-inspection too.
Yep.
For the other image. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Being able to display multiple charts at once in the same side panel. So in version 9.5, which we released earlier this month, about 2 weeks ago, we added this ability to be able to view multiple charts at the same time in the side panel. So this is really useful if you want to visualize, let's say, the same data in different ways. You want to have a control chart so you can see if the process is in control. You might want a histogram so you can show the distribution of the data. You might want to have a stats table or stats list so you can see the capability of the process. And then a data table if you need to drill into the raw data. So right now you can see over here on the right-hand side, I've got those 4 charts that I was talking about. Got my data table, stats list, histogram, and control chart. But it's not super user-friendly to click around back and forth between these different charts. Let's say that I'm looking at this, I then have to go back to the data table to drill into the data, let's say, when I see something that's wrong. So instead in 9.5, it's super easy to combine all these and show them at the same time. So this is the second sub-inspection I was running, multiple charts. And if I click on the display charts here, I already had this chart set up in a previous version. And the only thing I need to do is come in here, click the checkbox, draw all charts in one panel, go back, then if I publish it and run it, now when I load the sub-inspection, all of these charts are going to be displayed at the same time. So this is a really easy way to get a better, like, at a glance picture of the current state of the process that you're measuring. The next one I'm going to show is a corrective actions instructions. So the purpose of this sub-inspection and the demo that I'm going to show is that, let's say you have a PDF or some other file that you want to show to the user when an error occurs or when they take any action. But in this example, I'm going to use when a real-time failure occurs. So I have a corrective action PDF that I created and stored on our company SharePoint. And I want to be able to display these instructions when failure occurs so the user knows what actions to take. So let's say that this one's good, maybe this one's bad. And you can see that the side panel over on the right is loading. This is a PDF, so it's displaying this PDF of a flowchart that maybe the operator needs to go through. As they scroll through, maybe there's other forms that they need to fill out. They have to, make their signature on the form. And that way they know what actions to take. So this is actually really easy to do. I have one formula that does it. So I'm going to click on this so we can look at the code behind it. And this is actually only 2 lines of code. So the first line of code is checking to see if there's a real-time failure on the wait test. And then the second one is adding a web page to the side panel. So you can see here that I've got this document out on SharePoint. If you have documents on SharePoint, you can also do something similar to this. So this is one way to take action based on what the user has entered during a sub-inspection.
And Jacob, since you've hooked that to a web page, can you set that web page up so that they can actually fill out the form from the side panel? If you had an interactive PDF or something on the web page, would we be able to actually fill out that corrective action form?
That's a good question. I haven't tried that, but I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay.
Okay, the last one that I'm going to show you for an example of how to use the side panel is linking how-to videos. So as I was talking about earlier, we know that our customers deal with a lot of turnover with their workforce, and it takes a long time to onboard new employees. And it would be great if you could somehow just build that into the software. So let's say that you've taken a couple of videos on how to measure certain parts and uploaded them to Microsoft Stream. I'm using Microsoft Stream in this example because it's a free part of Office 365. And we know that a lot of our customers use Office. And Stream is an app that's in Office where you can host videos and recordings. So you can display these items from Stream really easily in the side panel. So I've already uploaded a video to Microsoft Stream. And one of the great parts about Stream is that it automatically generates closed captions for you. And using an online tool, I did this. I didn't know about this tool beforehand, and it took me about 30 seconds to download the captions from Stream, translate them into Spanish, and then upload the file that it gave me back into Stream. So I'm going to go ahead and run this sub-inspection. You can see over on the right-hand side that Microsoft Stream is loading. And then I've got a video on how to measure runout of a part. You can see that the captions here are in Spanish. And those are the captions that I created in about 30 seconds using an online translator. People really easily can go to here and choose whether they want no captions, the Spanish ones, or maybe they want the auto-generated English ones. But we know that a lot of people have employees that speak different languages and need to be onboarded quickly. And we think that using videos is a great way to do that. So all it takes to do that is uploading that image or that video, sorry, to Microsoft Stream, and then pasting the link from Stream into the URL property in the URL contents test. So those are the examples that I had to show for how to use the side panel in PC Collect.
Those were great. It was really impressive to see how easy it was to add that other language, especially for instruction, because I know we've had a lot of customers who have asked about that type of functionality. So it's great.
Thanks.
All right.
So the next thing that we're going to talk about, sorry, Jenny Lee.
Nope, I was just going to say this is what you're going to talk about. So
Yep.
Go.
There's some of the major features from GainSeeker 9.5, which I said earlier was released about 2 weeks ago. We're going to have a full Tech Tips Live on the 9.5 features in August, but I just wanted to list out some of these for you today for cool things that you're going to see in the new version. You can search for related data. So that would include, let's say you have a chart pulled up and you want to see all of the data for a specific serial number or lot number. You can now click on that point and choose what traceability field you want to search on, and GainSeeker will pull up all the data that matches the value in that traceability field. We added send data to Power BI. So now from a chart or from a data table, you can right click and one of the send to options is Power BI. So instead of needing to write a script or some sort of SQL statement to grab data out of GainSeeker and send it to Power BI, you can now just right click on a chart and do it. The third one I just showed you, and that's the ability to display multiple charts at once on the same side panel. A system administration task that we added is the ability to import users from a file. So you can download a CSV template, fill in people's usernames, passwords, that sort of thing, and then re-import it back into system administration to create new users. We expanded support for OPC UA, so you can now use additional node identifiers. And then a scripting management task, we added the ability to store Python scripts nested inside of folders. So now you can manage your scripts a lot easier. This is a huge win for people that have hundreds of scripts. And before 9.5, there wasn't a really easy way to organize them, and now there is.
That's great.
So that's what we had.
Okay.
I don't have a Q&A slide, but
all right. That's okay. So we did have a couple of questions that came in on the send to Power BI feature. Just as a reminder, can you tell the group what other send to options we have in GainSeeker?
Yeah, so we have the ability to send to Excel. You can send images of charts to PowerPoint. You can also send data or stats to Minitab. You can export files or charts or data as CSVs or as images. So there's a lot of different options of how to get data out of GainSeeker.
Okay, great. And then another question that we had was about the multiple charts on the side panel. if there's a limit to how many charts you can put up there.
I don't think that we have a strict limit, like the software will prevent you from using more than X number of charts. But we saw a pretty serious performance degradation once you got over 16 charts. So I definitely would not do more than a 4x4 grid on one side panel.
Okay. All right. And looking to see if we had other questions. On the Python script folder, we do have a question about whether or not, if I have existing scripts out there, if I upgrade to 9.5, is it automatically going to build some type of folder structure for me?
It'll put all of the scripts that you have into a root folder. So it won't build a structure for you, but you can start using it with existing scripts.
Okay, great. All right. Those were the questions that I had sent to me prior to the call. Are there other questions in the chat room that I'm missing? Do we think we have addressed all of those? Looks like we have. Okay, then. So I would say that in terms of those functionality and the features, thank you, Jacob, for going through all of that. Much of what you showed us today were things that we had requests for from customers. So it's nice to see the dev team is out there responding to those requests for enhancements and really listening to the customers out there. So I appreciate that. If you could go to the next slide, just so I can make sure I don't miss something. Our next Tech Tips Live is on August the 18th. We do take July off from the program. As Jacob mentioned, that will be an overview of the new features and functionality and improvements that we have from GainSeeker version 9.5. We will be posting a recording of today's program that should go up sometime next week. And as I mentioned before, we do invite you to send your questions, your feedback, your ideas for future topics to us. If you send an email to sales@hertzler.com or send anything to us individually, if you're communicating with us, that'll work too, and then we'll pass those along. The other thing that I did want to mention that I didn't put on this slide is we do have GainSeeker 9.5 out. If you're interested in requesting the upgrade, you can go to our website at www.hertzler.com, and there is a link to request the upgrade, and then we will follow up on getting that out to you. So anybody else from our team who has anything that we need to share with the group today? Okay. All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending. Hope that you found this valuable and look forward to seeing you all in August.